Hello and welcome to United Report. This is your home for all the latest Manchester United news, match updates, transfer stories, and in-depth analysis. Stay connected and never miss a moment. Subscribe now to stay ahead with everything happening at Old Trafford. Manchester United knew what they were signing up for when they hired Ruben Amorim and must remain patient while he implements his ideas. That is the opinion of Jamie Carragher, who has pushed back against those who believe Amorim should change his playing style as a reaction to his team's poor results. Amorim's future at United has been thrown into question following the 4-1 thrashing by Newcastle on Sunday, which handed them a 14th league defeat of the season for successive campaigns. United's mediocrity was underlined by the fact that Newcastle followed Brighton, Nottingham Forest and Tottenham in completing a league double over Amorim's side, who sit a lowly 14th in the Premier League table. Their entire season now rides on the second leg of the Europa League quarter-final against Lyon on Thursday, with the competition offering the golden ticket to the Champions League for its winners. The pressure is on Amorim after Andre Onana made two howlers to gift Lyon a 2-2 draw in the first leg, while the Portuguese coach continually dismissed questions about the Newcastle performance by turning attention to Thursday's game. Favoured 3-4-2-1 formation, a non-negotiable. United's players have struggled to get to grips with its nuances, leading some to call for compromise. But Carragher thinks that would amount to an admission from the club that they hired the wrong man. "I think Amorim is probably at the end of that queue, if you like," he said on Sky Sports Monday Night Football, when asked who was to blame for the current malaise. "You'd have to look at the ownership and the players there. He's going into a really difficult situation. We have to remember he didn't want to take the job right away. He wanted to come in the summer, in a pre-season. But the results that he's got, they're still not good enough. We know for Man United, we're not expecting them to win every week. We know they're not a top team, but they shouldn't be where they are in the league table, even with the players that they've got. It took a bit of time, obviously, for the system. People are still yet to be convinced by that. Is that the right decision? Not actually from him, but by the club for employing him because he came with that system. That's his DNA. People keep saying, oh, he's got to change the system. I don't really see it like that because his whole managerial career and the success that he's had has been based on that system. That's what he knows. If he goes to something else, they might as well change the manager. United host Lyon at Old Trafford on Thursday, knowing victory will land them a Europa League semi-final against the winners of Athletic Bilbao and Rangers. They then host in-form Wolves in the Premier League on Sunday. Advisor to the board. Blanc arrived at the club with significant footballing pedigree. He previously spent time with Italian giants Juventus, among other clubs, and was involved in the Turin club's move to the Allianz Stadium. The 62-year-old also spent time with Paris Saint-Germain in his native France, serving as the club's CEO for a decade. He officially joined United just weeks after Ratcliffe's partial takeover of the club was confirmed in early 2024. Before taking on his role, he became Ineos Sport CEO in February 2023. When announcing that appointment, Ratcliffe pointed to a particular ambition to raise our standards in football, with Ineos in charge of OGC Nice, among other clubs, before the Manchester United Investment.BBC Sport reports that Blanc had previously represented United at European football and Premier League meetings, but didn't do so at the last Premier League shareholders meeting. On that occasion, CEO Barada was joined by Chief Financial Officer Roger Bell. Ratcliffe has overseen a number of changes in the club's leadership since taking charge of football affairs midway through the 2023-24 season. The billionaire also brought in Dan Ashworth as sporting director, though the former Newcastle transfer chief only lasted a few months in the role. In a March interview with The Times, Ratcliffe indicated he could be convinced to walk away from the club if he receives the same amount of hate as the Glazer family. Majority owners the Glazer have been the subject of fan protests at various points in their tenure. "I don't mind being unpopular because I get that nobody likes seeing Manchester United down where they are and nobody likes the decisions we're having to make," Ratcliffe said. "If I draw a bit of the ire, I can put up with that. But I'm no different to the average person. It's not nice, particularly for friends and family. So, eventually, if it reached the extent that the Glazer family have been abused, then I'd have to say, look, enough's enough, guys. Let somebody else do this. They can't really come to a match, the Glazers." Ruben Amorim admitted his Manchester United team deserves to be remembered as the club's worst in Premier League history. United have now suffered 14 Premier League defeats. They sunk to 14th in the table and cannot reach their previous lowest ever points tally of 58 after another humiliation at Newcastle. Red Devils boss Amorim left out first-choice keeper Andre Onana ahead of Thursday's Europa League second leg against Lyon, but his replacement Altay Bayindir had a nightmare. When asked about United's worst ever Premier League campaign, Amorim said, "It is a reflection of our season. We need to accept that and to move forward and try to do things so much better in the future so we don't have this kind of season." Nothing is worse than losing games. People can say whatever they want to say. I don't want to defend myself or anything like that. If you look at our position in the table, it says it all. We need to improve in a lot of things, and our position is a reflection of our performances this season. The mistakes we made during the game helped the opponent and gave them confidence. I have no regrets because we made mistakes. They were better than us, and even if we put out a different XI, we don't know the result. We made choices. I'm going to continue to do the same. We need to focus on the next one. The next one is massive for us, and we have to play better. Thursday is really important. Losing games is the hardest part by far of this job. Amorim refused to say whether he will recall Onana for Thursday, but confirmed he will almost certainly be without Joshua Zirkzee, who came off with a hamstring injury. Newcastle assistant Jason Tindall was in charge because boss Eddie Howe was absent through illness after being admitted to hospital on Friday. He win puts Newcastle up to 4th and on course for the Champions League. Tindall said, "I said to the players before the game, go out and deliver a performance the manager would be proud of." They did that. I got a text message from him before I came into the press conference, and the performance would have put a smile on his face. We did miss him. But I'm really proud of the players. It's different when you're stepping in during the absence of the manager. It's up to the players to deliver a performance, and they certainly did that. Roy Keane has laid into Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes, questioning his leadership and accusing him of speaking in sound bites. Fernandes fronted up after United were thrashed by Newcastle on Sunday, with Sandro Tonali, Harvey Barnes and Bruno Guimaraes all scoring in a 4-1 win for the Toon. Speaking to Sky Sports after the game, Fernandes admitted he gets frustrated with his teammates because he knows how good they can be and urged the club to turn their attention to the second leg of their Europa League quarter-final clash with Lyon on Thursday. "My teammates, I only get frustrated with them because I know how good they can be," Fernandes claimed. "I know how tough it is to represent this club. They want so much to give to the club, to win, because they know how much they will be remembered if they win something with this club. On Thursday, we go forward. We create a big atmosphere in our stadium. We need to be on the front foot and give everything we have because we want to get to the semi-final. In tough moments, we have done great performances against the biggest clubs. In decisive games when everyone is watching. We are Man United. We have to step up and do everything to win the game." However, Keane took issue with Fernandes' comments and claimed there is no meaning to his words. To be fair to Bruno Fernandes, he fronts up. "But to me, it's just sound bites now," Keane told Sky Sports in response to the interview. He was talking about his teammates and belief. But what about his right-back Dalot, who didn't put a leg out to tackle? I hope he is pulling him in the dressing room because he keeps talking about having belief in his teammates, but real good teammates put demands on each other. When I listen to Bruno, I have question marks about his leadership. He certainly isn't getting any help around him. It must be tough playing in that midfield, when the expectation is on him, because that's unfair on him. But when he's doing his chats about supporters and this, to me it's just sound bites. There is no meaning to it. I'm not sure this United group are an honest group. The best players put demands on me. That's what real good teammates do. These aren't teammates, they are bluffers. Keane's comments came after he accused United of being a physically and mentally weak team. "That's 14 league games they've lost now," Keane fumed. "We keep making excuses for this team. There are not enough players who can run in the team. I don't think there are players who want to run. Not enough of a goal threat. You've got to dig deep, even when you're up against it, and they didn't do that in the second half. We spoke at half-time about the big test was to come in the second half." Looking at Newcastle, they're outstanding. They're used to winning big games now. They've got into a really good habit. United are the opposite. I think United now are physically and mentally a weak team.